drug
Synthetic
overdose deaths
opioids,
remain
like
high.
fentanyl, are fueling the rise in overdose deaths. Over the last several years, deaths by synthetic opioids have been on a sharp incline, while overdose deaths by fentanyl. What drug users and people who work with them in Philadelphia talk about is the smell. The smell of rotting flesh from open infected wounds. Some users say they feel ashamed of the state of their bodies. But more feel a sense of urgency. They need help. The wounds are killing them. It is absolutely horrible. That's the reality, though, said James Sherman, known as Sherm around Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood, where he once used drugs and where he now tries to help those still on the streets. The need for help has become more urgent over the last 3 years, as the animal tranquilizer xylazine, also called Tranq, has become a bigger part of Philly's street fentanyl supply. Xylazine can cause large wounds that won't heal, no matter where you inject it, and they can appear even if you snort it or smoke it. Infections are common and can even lead to amputations. Some people aren't ready to see that yet, Sherman said. It's literally people's flesh rotting, and you can smell it. Kensington has seen the changing nature of America's addiction crisis. It has been well known as a place to buy heroin under the elevated rail line, a short distance, but a world away from the business and tourist centers of downtown. Heroin was edged out by the more powerful synthetic opioid fentanyl. But fentanyl's effects don't last as long as heroin, and so xylazine was added to street fentanyl to give it legs, according to Sarah Laurel, who founded Savage Sisters, the harm reduction group that employs Sherman. Xylazine is not approved for humans, but it's widely available for veterinarians to sedate large animals like horses. Like an opioid, it can kill pain, but it cannot be reversed with Narcan, also known as naloxone, which is used to treat opioid overdoses, according to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. As xylazine is usually mixed in with fentanyl, naloxone can help an overdosed person by counteracting the opioid, though other measures may be needed. Workers at Savage Sisters now carry oxygen tanks with them. The drug has side effects like Tranq walk, where people seem unaware of their surroundings, along with sores and wounds. Tranq made its mark on Philadelphia's street drugs about 3 years ago. That's when doctors, users and those who try to help them saw a difference. Synthetic opioids, like fentanyl, are fueling the rise in overdose deaths. Over the last several years, deaths by synthetic opioids have been on a sharp incline, while overdose deaths by heroin have dropped off. Drug overdose deaths per 100,000 U.S. residents, 2001 to 2021. Nobody was coming to Kensington to buy Tranq, they were coming to get heroin, said Laurel of the Savage Sisters group. You don't go to your drug dealer and say, "Do you have a nutrition label with this?" You get what you get and you don't get upset. And whatever you get you eventually feel a physical compulsion to do, she said. Kensington now the fentanyl supply has adulterants to xylazine, is in 9 out of 10 samples of lab-tested dope in Philadelphia.
He looked at me with understanding in his eyes, unaffected by my disheveled appearance and the smell that clung to me. His compassion seemed unwavering as he approached me, not with judgment but with genuine concern. The other man he had been talking to left, leaving just the two of us on that desolate street corner. "I've been waiting for you," he said softly, his voice filled with empathy. "I know it's hard, and I understand the struggle you're going through. I've been there too, lost and trapped in the grip of addiction." I couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope in his words. It was as if he saw beyond the wreckage of my life and believed in the person I could become. The $100 he had given me weighed heavily in my pocket, a lifeline I could choose to squander or use to set myself on a different path. He continued, "I know it's tempting to use that money to numb the pain and escape, but deep down, you know that's not the answer. There's a better life waiting for you, one where you can rediscover your true self, free from the clutches of addiction." His sincerity touched my wounded soul, and a part of me yearned to believe in the possibility of change. I knew I couldn't keep spiraling down this destructive path. It was time to confront the demons within me and find the strength to rebuild my life. "I want to help you," he said, his voice filled with determination. "There's a drug recovery program in Florida, a place where people like us can find support, guidance, and a chance to start anew. It won't be easy, but I promise you, it's worth it." As he spoke, his words resonated deep within me. I realized that this encounter was not a coincidence but a lifeline thrown my way. The decision loomed before me, to continue down the path of self-destruction or to grasp this opportunity for redemption. Summoning the last remnants of courage, I looked him in the eyes and said, "Yes, I want to go to that drug recovery program in Florida. I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to find myself again and reclaim my life." A smile of relief and hope spread across his face, and he nodded, understanding the significance of my choice. "Good," he said, his voice filled with genuine joy. "We'll get you there. You're not alone in this anymore." Together, we walked towards his car, leaving behind the bleak streets of Kensington. As I settled into the passenger seat, I couldn't help but feel a flicker of optimism deep within me. The road to recovery would be arduous, but I was no longer alone. With his guidance and the support of the drug recovery program, there was a chance for me to heal, to rediscover my self-worth, and to create a future far removed from the cold cement of addiction. And so, with a mix of trepidation and hope, we drove away from the darkness of Kensington, towards a new chapter in my life, where redemption and transformation awaited. His gaze pierced through the layers of despair and addiction, as if he could see the glimmer of hope hidden within me. With a small, comforting smile, he reassured me, "You can go back. You can reclaim your life." His words resonated deeply within me, stirring a mix of emotions that I struggled to put into words. How could I be ready for a new life, for a chance at redemption? But deep down, I knew that staying trapped in the cycle of addiction was not the answer. I nodded slowly, my voice barely a whisper, "Yes, I want to go." A surge of warmth enveloped me as he pulled me into a heartfelt embrace. In that moment, I felt the weight of his own journey, his battles fought and won, as he whispered, "Everything will be all right. God loves you." Tears welled up in my eyes, a mixture of gratitude and relief. It was as if the heavens had heard my silent pleas and orchestrated this encounter to offer me a lifeline. I mustered the courage to ask him why he had waited for me, why he had shown such unwavering faith. His eyes sparkled with a gentle wisdom, and he replied, "My name is Mr. Roman. I, too, was once caught in the clutches of addiction. But through divine intervention, God spoke to my heart and told me to wait for you. He guided me to be here, to offer you a chance for transformation and a new beginning." The realization hit me like a wave crashing upon the shore. It was not mere chance that had brought us together on that fateful day. It was the power of a higher force, working miracles in the lives of those who sought redemption. Overwhelmed with gratitude, I choked back tears and whispered, "Thank you, Mr. Roman. Thank you for believing in me when I could barely believe in myself. I'm ready to embrace this new path, to find healing and love." With a reassuring smile, Mr. Roman held my gaze and said, "You are never alone in this journey. God has a plan for you, and with His guidance, you will overcome. Let us embark on this road to recovery together, hand in hand, as we seek a life filled with purpose and joy." As we stood there, two souls bound by a shared experience and an unwavering faith, I knew that this encounter was not just a turning point but a divine intervention. With renewed hope coursing through my veins, I stepped forward into the embrace of God's love, ready to face the challenges ahead and embrace the promise of a brighter future. Drug overdose deaths remain high. 75% of the nearly 92,000 drug overdose deaths in 2020 involved an opioid. More than 932,000 people have died since 1999 from a drug overdose. 1 in 2020, 91,799 drug overdose deaths occurred in the United States. The age-adjusted rate of overdose deaths increased by 31% from 2019, 21.6 per 100,000, to 2020, 28.3 per 100,000. Opioids, mainly synthetic opioids, other than methadone, are currently the main driver of drug overdose deaths. 82.3% of opioid-involved overdose deaths involved synthetic opioids. Opioids were involved in 68,630 overdose deaths in 2020, 74.8% of all drug overdose deaths. Drug overdose deaths involving psychostimulants such as methamphetamine are